All right.
Hello. Can I sit there or should I sit
Wherever
there?
you like.
I'll go right here. That's good.
Would you like the microphone?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me if I'm talking or do I need a mic?
Mike.
Okay.
All right.
I've been yelling all weekend.
I'll just give you that.
What's your name? Is it a D or a C? Sorry, that's,
Close to the end.
and by the end of the day, I'm like, froggy. Okay. Anyway, are you going to say?
I'm just gonna hang out with you.
Okay, so you're not, oh my gosh, I'm on my own here.
I'll be by your side. I got you covered.
Okay, well, then I guess I'm just gonna have to, unless you have any questions or any.
Well, let's start with them. They're all here.
Okay, well, if you guys have questions, I guess now's the time to ask them.
You've got a brave soul over there to start.
Oh, good, right there.
Hi. Hello again.
Hi.
In furtherance to the conversation I had with you a couple of days ago, you're about to experience your 35th anniversary of doing this thing.
Yeah.
You started when you were young, and here you are. 35 years later, what is the most unexpected thing about that fact that's salient to you after all these years performing as your creation?
Cousins. That is a great question. Thank you. The specific thing, let's see.
Meaning the thing you probably could have never expected when you got into it, that became
Yeah,
the
okay.
salient, meaningful thing over time.
The thing I probably could not have expected about doing this 35 years later is that the show that I was first on, Movie Macabre, ran longer than a week. That's probably the biggest thing. No, that and many other things. But the show, in the beginning, was a local LA horror hosting gig, and I really didn't have a lot of hopes for it. I thought, well, it's a gig, and I'll make $350 for the week, and it was just so low budget and so crammed between. We had to shoot in a studio right between the news at noon and the news at 5. So we had like from 1 to 5. If we didn't get the show done in that time, too bad. It was, over. So we were out there rushing. It was just so rushed and so low budget. I was shocked when, they said we were going to do a second week. Because the first one was kind of a test, and then it happened the second week and a third, and kept going. And the next thing I knew, I was being asked to come to people's beauty salon opening and grocery store opening. I was like, what? Then all of a sudden I was asked to be on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, and that was when I went, boing, 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 boing. This thing is taking off. I was reading reviews that likened my show to a car accident. You didn't want to look, but you couldn't turn around. So that is a shocking thing, that this little job that I took a lot of jobs, a lot of pilots that I was doing back then, like for the remake of Gilligan's Island, stuff like that. I thought, this is it, I've made it, this is fantastic, I'm gonna go forever. And of course the pilots never went, so I'd be on one show after another, and that would be that. This was the least likely one that I thought was going to go. And apparently KHJ didn't think it was going to go either, because they rented my sofa from a prop house for about $150 a week. And somebody there kind of forgot they were renting it. And 7 years later, the couch was worth, $36,000 or whatever. I don't know what 150 times 7 years per week is, if somebody wants to figure it out. But they could have bought the thing for $300 to $500, but like I said, I don't think they had that much faith in the show. So anyway, that is the surprising thing. I mean, and the other surprising thing is that with every decade, I say to myself, I'm retiring. I started the show when I was 30. I go, retiring when I'm 40. Didn't happen. Retiring when I'm 50. Didn't happen. Retiring when I'm 60. Didn't happen. And I'm going to be 65 in a couple months, and I'm going, what? No. I'm following in Cher's footsteps.
Hell yes.
Oh gosh. Anyway, so that I hope answers your question.
Absolutely.
But
Thank you very
it's
much.
a miracle, and in the acting business, to have a job that you actually do and last more than, I guess the typical acting career lasts 5 years. So anybody who has a career past that, it's kind of a miracle. Something like 5% of all actors have make enough money to survive on as actors. So it's kind of like a 1 in a million thing. I'm very lucky. Anybody else? Come on, we gotta do this. It's gonna be a very short, very short panel. Yes, right here.
How long does it take you to get in all the makeup and the dress and everything?
Okay, she wants to know how long it takes to get in all the dress and makeup. Well, you can see from how I look, it takes a while. Like I have it. I start 2 hours before, but I have the makeup and everything down to an hour and a half. It's a lot of detail. It's a lot more complicated than it looks. It's not about throwing on a wig. And anybody who's dressed up like that, like
It takes
this
me
lady over
3,
here.
but yesterday was the 4th time I've actually worn her.
Yeah,
So it was 3 solid hours yesterday.
Yeah, it's a detailed, and the makeup is really detailed, and there's a lot that goes into everything else. So
You do
it
it?
takes a while. That's probably
You
my
do it?
least favorite thing about doing the character is the time it takes to get into makeup.
Do it yourself?
I do the makeup and hair and everything myself, but with an assistant who helps me. But I do the actual makeup myself because I started out doing shows, and there would be a makeup artist who would do it for me, and it would always come out slightly different, you know. Sometimes better, sometimes a lot worse. And I just kept doing that over and over until finally I said, I just gotta do it myself. I mean, this doesn't work out. I actually gave a guy, recently I did a campaign for a big optical company. What is it? LA Works in Los Angeles, and I did a billboard for them, and somehow they talked me into having a guy do my makeup. They said, this guy is so famous, he does it in Vogue magazine and this, blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay, it's been like 30 years, I'm gonna give somebody else a chance. I look like living hell. I watched, I spent 2 hours in the chair with the guy and then washed the whole thing off. And spent another hour and a half putting it on, and like we were at this shoot that took longer than, you know, building the Empire State Building. Anyway, so I'm sticking to doing it myself. So there you go. And other questions? I saw somebody around there. There you go.
Is it true you were born in Kansas?
I was born in Kansas. I was born in Manhattan because there was no hospital in the town we lived in. It was called Randolph, Kansas. And Randolph is actually still there. It's called New Randolph now because old Randolph, where I lived, was flooded to create Tuttle Creek Dam. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but it's a big dam. And my whole family lived there. A couple of my cousins over here, her dad was my first cousin. He lived there with us, and his mom and dad. And we were all evacuated. We all had to move out of Randolph, and so we went to Colorado. But I was born in Manhattan. I spent time here at KU, 3 months. I was burned when I was a child. I pulled a pot of boiling water on me, and I spent 3 months at the hospital here having operations, surgeries, and skin grafting and all of that. So that wasn't my best trip to Kansas City. But yep, that's true. I'm a Kansas girl. Lived on a farm in Kansas. Anybody else? Oh, right here in front.
I learned recently that you were on the Tom Waits album.
Yeah.
Is that right? And if so, how did you get that job?
She was asking about the Tom Waits album, and that is such a bizarre story because I don't know if that's me. I look at it really hard. I look, and it definitely looks like me, but there are things about it that I go, that isn't me. I didn't really ever wear that hairstyle. My boobs are better than that. And there's a few things that I just go, I don't, and you know, I can't remember it because I can't remember anything in the 70s. I actually went straight from the 60s to the 80s. Don't remember the 70s at all. And I may have done it, but you'd think I'd remember posing with Tom Waits, right? I mean, I love him, but it could be me, who knows? There's a lot of stuff going on back in the 70s, you know. Anyway, so it's kind of up in the air. I don't know. Could have been me. Might not be. Who knows? Anybody? Anyone else? Yes.
Any more plans for any more movies?
Oh, I have lots of plans for more movies. Whether I have the money for more is another thing. I think about doing movies. I have had a couple people come to me not that long ago about movies, but the budgets are so low. If it was a big film company, that's one thing, but they're not looking to go back and resurrect this. Really, they're looking for the next big movie, and so sadly, they come to me with these really low-budget movies, and I don't really want to do one that's so low that would not come off good. It would come off worse than the other two I did. It's just, and certainly I learned one lesson: never invest your own money in a film. So I'm not going there. So who knows? I am working on some projects though that are really interesting. One, just in the very beginning, initial, what the heck am I talking about? What's the word? Initial
Planning stages?
planning stage. They're perfect. Thank you. I'm glad somebody can think this morning. And the one is really getting pretty far on. One is an animation project for kind of an animated show along the lines of something somewhere between The Simpsons and Family Guy. And we've been working on that a lot for a couple of years, and we're doing a pilot with a company very soon. And then we'll be taking that out to try to sell to a cable station or a network. So that's going along really well. And then the other one is a television show that I could be participating in, and there would be a younger Elvira playing me, but I would still be participating in voiceovers and things. So that is just in the very beginning stages. So we'll see how those go. I'm busy in the meantime writing my autobiography, which is taking practically my whole lifetime. So long. You can tell just from this panel. I have a lot to talk about. So working on that. And then, of course, I have to mention, and I'm sure you guys have all seen the cards, but I have a coffee table book coming out, and that'll be out October 1st, and it's really awesome. I've wanted to do it all my life because I have taken so many photo sessions in 35 years. You would not believe the amount of photos I have. And it's just going to kind of be from the beginning of the character. You can see my hair being really flat and then growing everywhere. Get to a point where it's just ridiculous. I look like a cone head, and then it starts coming down, finds a happy medium, and stays there. But photos that most of you have not seen, lots of photos. One in particular I did for a photographer named J.P. Morgan, a very, very famous photographer, where I'm in a bathtub and suspended from the ceiling. And we did that because I was 7 months pregnant. So it's funny, you kind of see behind the scenes, and I'm sitting there pregnant. But we cover me with soap bubbles, so we were able to shoot the pictures anyway. But a lot of behind the scenes photos of me doing my Coors commercial, and photos actually of the artwork for the initial character of Elvira that my best friend Robert Redding drew. They said, how are you going to look? And he drew up some sketches, and a lot of super interesting things besides just tons and tons of big glossy photos of Elvira from the beginning till now. So that'll be out soon. The perfect Christmas gift for everyone on the list. So let's see. What was it? Was Jackson? Oh yeah, that was the movie thing. The movie I don't know. Somebody comes to me with about at least $12 million. I'm good to go. That's what Mistress of the Dark cost, and I figure I could do it for that. Yes?
Can you talk about your experience doing Rupaul Drag Race?
Oh yeah, my experience doing Rupaul Drag Race. Well, I love doing it. I love Ru. He and I have been friends for millions of years, way before he had his show. And so that's always a great experience to work with him. And of course, Matthew, his makeup artist and photographer, is brilliant. They did some awesome photos of me while I was there, worth their weight in gold. They're in the book as well. Being on the panel, I love Santino Rice. We had a blast for sitting next to each other and had a really great time. Everybody on the panel, we had fun. But it's funny what ends up, you're there for like endless hours, watching the various people perform. You don't get to meet them backstage or anything, but you're there on the panel for hours and hours and sweating our makeup off. It was so hot, and it was really kind of brutal. And you keep commenting, you keep saying funny stuff, funny stuff, funny stuff, funny stuff. And then in the final show, the show is so short that you just come off here this brief little appearance and you go, where's all that funny stuff I said? So that part is kind of a bummer because there's a lot to cram into, the show. And so it's kind of disappointing to see the final results. But doing the show itself was difficult but fun because of the who you're sitting next to all day. Yeah, I wish I could do it again. That would be great. I did RuPaul's Drive. Did you happen to see that? Look at that. Just put Elvira, RuPaul, and Drive. It's where he just picks me up at my house. I hop in his car and we drive around for an hour talking. It was really funny. He was not in drag, and neither was I. That would be too scary. But it is Hollywood, so probably no one would have noticed this. Anyone else? I think I've answered everything. Yes.
How many people recognized you when you went out to Gates BBQ last night?
How many people recognized me when I went out to Gates BBQ? Oddly, there was several people there from the con, so I was recognized, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm still at the con.
Get away.
Yeah, but Gates BBQ was awesome. Recommend it. Really yummy. Oh, I was dying for some good Kansas City barbecue. Yeah.
I think we can all agree we adore Elvira, absolutely. What's been your favorite character not as Elvira?
Well, I haven't done many characters not as Elvira. She asked, did you guys all hear the question? Yeah. Once I got Elvira, I just clung on to it a lot, like a different, speaking of Klingons, like a lot of different people, speaking of Klingons, no, like a lot of people who want to get away from their character. I did not want to get away from my character. At first I did. At first I thought, I'm just Elvira all the time. Oh, this is so boring. But I wanted to be my character because I own my character. I'm one of, sure probably any of the people here or at any other convention that you'll see that own their character. The only other person I know that owns their character that's in a similar situation is Pee-wee Herman, which brings me to my favorite other character, which is the biker chick in the first Pee-wee movie. That's really one of the only other characters. But I really love doing that. I mean, who wouldn't love beating up Pee-wee, right? So yeah, I'm in a completely different boat when it comes to that. When you see merchandise of Elvira, I own it, and not the studio. The other people, whether you're Robert Englund or Bill Shatner, can't go out there and sell, little model figures, action figures, or models of the things that were in the movie. But I can. So that's why I stick to my character and why I don't try to go looking for other gigs. In the beginning, I would get once in a while asked to do a pilot for a television show, and I would think that they'd always be in September and October, and then I would go there and I could get SAG, after a SAG, the bottom line payment scale for about $300, $500 a week, or I could go be Elvira and get about a lot more. And so I was like, why should I be trying to escape from this thing? Take it and run with it. Yes?
Kind of to follow up on that, when did you figure out that you needed to own the character as opposed to having the movie studio do it? And how did you, and how far into your career did you figure out how you own this character?
Yeah, he was asking how I figured out how I needed to own the character. When did I figure that out? And it was kind of an accident, really, because we were still at this local television station, and there wasn't really a lot going on there. And my ex-husband and his partner were my managers, and we saw that the character was really, wow, this is kind of happening. And like I said, grocery stores were calling up and saying, could you appear, with the opening up. And so we had to go to KHJ, which was the station. We had to go to manager of the studio and say, could we have the rights to make other outside appearances? And he said, yes, you can have those rights. Later on, we go, there's so many people, we gotta have a fan club. Can we have the rights to have a fan club? Yes, you can have a fan club. Later on, I'm getting asked to be on ships, like, for example, in The Fall Guy and these television shows back in the 80s. And we go, can we have the rights for me to appear as Elvira on these other shows? Yes, they give me those rights. Why they were giving me the rights? Because they weren't giving me any more money. So instead of giving me more money, they said, we'll let you have the rights to this so you can actually make a living. You can't live on $350 a week. That's before taxes. And that was back then, but you couldn't even then. So before they knew it, they had given away all the rights. And we had them. And we weren't tricking them or doing anything. They had just given them away. And in the end, thank God we did, because very soon after that, after my 7 years with them was up, they lost their license along with all the other television stations that RKO owned in the United States. They, for various reasons, giving money inappropriately to political campaigns and all kinds of things, they lost their license, and my character would have gone with the studio down the dumper into bankruptcy court somewhere, never to be seen again. So it's like, phew, lucky. Well, wish I would have been thinking of it, but we really weren't at that time, you know? So I wish I gotta change that story to see how brilliant I was. Okay, anybody else? Oh, back there in the corner.
Can you, kind of following up on that, can you talk about how it might have been accidental that you own the character, but you've been very savvy in how you market and present Elvira? Can you talk about the business side a little bit of it, how you kept it concise and relevant for 35 years?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I've had a lot of people who work with me and who help, of course, with that. But over the years, we've changed people. We've gone with different people. But yeah, the main business section of Elvira, the main part of it, is really comes with the licensing and merchandising, and the licensing of the image and the trademarking. And I've spent mucho bucks and lots of time hiring trademark attorneys and trademarking the character, the likeness, and the name, so that everybody and their mother does not just make Elvira things and sell it. Everybody still does, but we do have lawyers that, because I gave it a trademark, that do go after them if they continue to do it. Selling one-off things at cons is one thing, but if they're mass marketing things, that's a completely different story. Anyway, that part is probably, it's more about what I do. When people ask, I don't feel as much like an actress or anything as I feel like a business person, doing the various licensing, okaying the products, lending my name to various products, whether it's costumes and wigs or slot machines, video games, virtual games, endless amount of products. I think I've had over by now maybe, I lost count at 350. I'd say it's more up to 700. And I am happy to say that I have a new, I have things I'm not supposed to, I have a few little doll figures and things coming out soon. I have a slot machine, which I can talk about, my fourth one, that is the ultimate state-of-the-art slot machine. I've never seen anything like it. It's about 9 feet tall and 4 feet wide, and I'm on there as like virtual Elvira, actually talking to people who go by, like, hey, you, oh yeah, that, we're over in Plenty, stuff like that. And it's awesome because it's very horror based. It has all these clips of old horror movies in black and white, and when you get a certain bonus, a clip from the movie comes up that I then comment on. And so it's so awesome. It's I've never seen anything like this. Just me, The Walking Dead, and Britney Spears. It's true. So that'll be out in casinos starting in October, I think. Also a couple virtual games coming up, a few things I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But lots of stuff in October, lots of new movie stuff. But basically, yeah, I look at myself more as a business person, and obviously I have good management and licensing people who do it, but ultimately it's up to me to okay products. I did one time, okay, a smelly car thing that hangs in your car. I don't know if that was the smartest thing to do. I did it anyway. So thank you. It's a lot of, it's pretty much like running your own business, and I work kind of 24/7 on it. I'm a little bit of a workaholic, so it kind of never stops. And once in a while I do these things, which is, gets me out of the office and I have fun. Yes, we do.
Since you hosted a lot of horror movies and you commented on them, do you have a favorite horror movie that you wish you could have hosted or that you really liked and you wanted to do?
Yeah, there was one horror movie. I mean, I like the old, bad 50s and 60s horror movie. I just like that. I was raised with it. I was so into it as a kid that they just have this special place in my heart, and I really, really love that stuff. I mean, my favorite movie when I was a kid, the one that turned me on to horror, first one I ever saw was House on Haunted Hills with Vincent Price, and I was just like, something happened. I was just in love with him, in love with the movie. I mean, at the same time, I had nightmares for weeks, but still, I go, this is awesome. And then I went out and got Famous Monsters magazine, and I started buying all the crap in the back of it, the models to make and everything, and really got me set on that thing when I was a very young kid. What was my whole train of thought on that thing? I forgot.
Your favorite horror
What was the whole question?
Your favorite horror movie?
Oh yeah, thank you. The one I didn't get to host, that's what I was going to tell you, was so hosting all these kind of old bad ones, which I really love. The only one I never got to host that I desperately wanted to do was Plan 9 from Outer Space. I love that movie so much. And it has a weird vampire thing in there, but I still love that movie, and we kept trying to get it, but it's really difficult to get. Nobody can figure out who owns it, and they all argue when you try to get it that they own it, and they can't get the rights, and then you get the rights, and then another person says they own it, and they have the rights, and you can't show it. So anyway, that was a bummer, because the ultimate, I mean, that's the ultimate bad, good horror movie. To me, anyway. Yes, in the green shirt. It's you.
So, what's your favorite trick-or-treat outfit throughout the years?
My favorite trick-or-treating outfit?
Yeah, when you were a kid.
When I was a kid, I have a bizarre story, and my mom has an 8mm film of it, which is so hilarious. Sometimes I have to put it on something. I dressed like, you're not gonna believe what I dressed. My mom made me a black and orange crepe paper outfit, and with a crown and a scepter, and I went as the Queen of Halloween. I was 5 years old. I have a picture of it. It's in my book, as a matter of fact. 5 years old with me.
Perfect.
It's so bizarre, right? Yeah. Okay. Something going on there. Anyway, but I have a great. The movie is of me trick-or-treating with my class in Randolph, Kansas, and we're going down the street, and my sack has a hole in it. You can see all my trick-or-treat candy going along, and then you see my teacher comes over. You can see it's all, without sound. And my teacher comes over, and she sees that I'm losing all my Halloween candy, and she tries to grab my bag, and I start viciously fighting. I'm like, not going to allow her to take my trick-or-treat bag. And that's
Excellent.
good question. Thanks. Yes.
Didn't you start out with the Groundlings, and is that how you met Pee Wee Herman?
Yeah, I did start off 4.5 years before I became Elvira. I was with the Groundlings comedy improv group in LA, which is, as you guys might know, I mean, 1 million people have come out of there. And that's where I met Paul Rubens, who plays Pee Wee, and a lot of other great people. Lorraine Newman was just leaving to do this new show, Saturday Night Live.